Hey guys, well, it's that time of the week again. It's Monday morning, and of course, last night the sixth episode of The Walking Dead Season 3 premiered. And well, here is my little review for it. The biggest thing I wanted to talk about, or the two biggest things I wanted to talk about, are with Rick in the phone and the Merle versus Michonne storylines of the episode. Not going to focus too much on the whole Andrea Governor thing. There's not really a whole lot to say there. But anyway, last night's episode, the two biggest things that were dealt with were basically Rick and the telephone and Merle and Michonne. With Rick, basically the whole episode, mainly with the prison, was mainly about him talking to what he believed was another group on the telephone that kept calling him. But as we learned in last night's episode, it was actually what we noticed that Rick apparently did not realize is that the voices basically belong to group members from like the first season that had been killed. The first one was Amy. The second time the phone rang, it was Jim. Then it was Jackie. It actually wasn't until like the last phone call that he got that it was Lori. Kind of like how it is in the comics. And anyway, but pretty much though, yeah, most of the prison storyline this episode kind of just was about Rick and the telephone. Pretty much, of course, for the past few episodes, past two or three episodes, Rick has kind of lost it after the death of Lori, and he went around killing like a bunch of zombies until ultimately he ended up where he is in the episode. And he's just kind of trapped in his own mind, I guess you could say. Basically, though, Lori kind of tells him, you have the rest of the group, and you still have Carl and the baby and everything. And Lori, basically, of course, we know he's hallucinating, but I'm not quite sure if Rick really realized he was, at least not until Lori called him, that he was basically hallucinating the entire time. And basically, whatever Lori tells him, he it basically helps him to snap out of his state. And pretty much, yeah, that's kind of the bulk of Rick's storyline in the episode. As for Merle versus Michonne, that was, I guess, for the most part, the main part of the episode. Of course, in the previous episode, I believe it was the previous episode, that Michonne decided to leave Woodsbury, and they seemingly just let her go and everything. However, this episode we find out that it's not so simple. That basically the governor wants her dead, essentially, for leaving. Pretty much, you're either with him or you're dead. Essentially, I guess is what his mindset is. So basically, the governor sends Merle and three guys to look for her and kill her. And basically, that's what that bulk of the storyline is Merle basically looking for Michonne. At the beginning of the episode, they stumble across this pile of... Basically, they stumble across a dismembered zombie that Michonne had done to spell out the message, "Go back." Because she knew they were looking for her, apparently. But, of course, Merle doesn't listen, and they continue on, and then Michonne pops up, and, they kind of have, like, the first fight scene. It was a pretty good fight scene. Personally, like a few other people have said, yeah, I was kind of rooting for Merle, surprisingly. Even though, yeah, like somebody said, I think you're kind of supposed to be rooting for Michonne, but it didn't quite work out that way, unfortunately. Basically, though, ultimately, Merle ends up losing Michonne, but stumbles across Glenn and Maggie in a parking lot. Now, this was kind of an interesting scene, maybe what's not said or done or whatever. Now, you would think, Merle recognizes Glenn. Of course, they were in the group together way back in season 1, before Merle took off. And, of course, Daryl was also in the group, and Glenn could take him back to the group and everything, but surprisingly, or maybe not surprisingly, Merle Actually, I don't recall him even mentioning Daryl or wanting to go back. Basically, he ends up taking Glenn and Maggie hostage and going back to Woodsbury. So, maybe is kind of implying that maybe secretly he's actually not that interested in looking for Daryl, because there was a perfect shot for him that hey, I want to go back with you guys. I want to go find Daryl and maybe join back up with you guys. But instead, he remains loyal to the governor and takes him hostage and takes him back to to Woodsbury rather. So who knows? I mean, you never know. Just thought that was interesting. Um, all the while that scene was taking place, Michonne is hiding in the background watching. And after Merle takes them off, she ends up finding the prison herself and is presumably going to warn her about the governor as well as what happened to Glenn and Maggie. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see what Rick's reaction and plan is with this new information. Is he going to try to negotiate with the governor, or basically, or is it just going to be, there's, no, we're not going to hold back. We're going into attack and we're getting them back, and whoever gets killed or whatever. So it's going to be interesting to see what Rick does in reaction, I guess. Considering that this isn't exactly the Rick of the first season anymore. With killing what was his name? Andrew, not Andrew, the other one with the machete or whatever, just for throwing a zombie on him. So who knows? I mean, maybe I don't know. We'll just have to see how that plays out. So I thought that was interesting, pretty good. Let's see. One of the major plot points of this episode is Daryl finally found Carol. Apparently, she's still been in the prison this entire time. I'm going to kind of let that slide, though, considering because maybe, there's kind of like a zombie outside her door. She was kind of weak and exhausted and everything, so, it was just one of those things where basically she was trapped and cornered and everything, so. Although, I think one of my favorite scenes this episode was Daryl. We finally got a little more backstory to his life and everything prior to the zombie outbreak. Basically, he tells Carl to kind of connect with, to try to kind of connect with him. That he basically tells a story to Carl that you find out that Daryl's mother died when he was a kid as well, and it's kind of implied that she accidentally started a house she accidentally started a fire in their house when he was a kid, and basically had fallen asleep smoking in bed. It's kind of implied that that's what happened. She fell asleep smoking in bed, and resulting in a house fire that killed her. So we get a little backstory to Daryl that his mother died when he was a kid too, and everything. So that was a pretty nice scene. Daryl's one of my favorite characters, so a little backstory was nice to have. As for Andrea and the governor, basically that part of the storyline just led up to them sleeping together. Not a whole lot to say there, really. Somebody said maybe Andrea's she's officially become an antagonist this season, but we'll have to see how all that plays out. Somebody predicted that maybe it's going to end up being Andrea that ends up accidentally killing the baby, but yeah, I can see that happening actually. So anyway, bottom line, I guess I would say it's about average for this season, this episode. Maybe a 6.5 out of 7. I mean, I know that's mainly what I've been giving most of these episodes so far, but I don't know. I'm not really sure because they're not really standoutish, most of them, but they're not bad either. I mean, they're entertaining and everything, so I'm not quite sure how to rate them properly, if not this, but yeah, about a 7 out of 10, I guess. 6.5 or 7 out of 10. Entertaining enough, nothing. There wasn't anything in the episode that really stood out to me that was just stupid or just extraordinarily great or anything. So about 6.5, 7, yeah. Anyway, but that said, I guess that's going to be about it. My voice is starting to get kind of raspy again for some reason. So I guess I'm going to end here. So thanks for watching. See you guys next time.